Yo people, what's good man? Today we're going to talk about where Arsenal's biggest improvements are going to come from this season. Now, we all understand that we've got a plethora of new players into the club, but it's going to be really down to Emery whether he can make this thing tick. He's the man in charge. The front office are looking at him now. They were all sitting down watching a Newcastle game in bated breath to see how their investment was paying off. And in order for him to do that, he has to have two things. One is trust. He needs to trust these players. The fact that he went away from his favourite formation last season shows that he understood he didn't have the personnel in order to execute the system he wanted to. And that leads me on to the second reason, which is the formation. The formation is something that he's going to have to stick with. He did at Valencia and Sevilla, not so much PSG, because the front three played in front of the number 10 rather than behind an anchor man. And although Cavani is a kind of an anchor man, he's the one that played in the middle with Mbappe and Neymar on either side. But with Arsenal, he's back to the 4-2-1-3, and we are going to see how that's going to get the best out of his players. And in the number 10 role, whether that's Ceballos or whether that's Ozil, it really is going to come down to who's the most important man there. We know he stuck Ramsey in there for a good spell last season, but Ozil, for all of his criticism, still remains Arsenal's most creative player. I know Mkhitaryan is also adaptable on the left, but no one's going to be able to fill that void, which is going to be Aubameyang on the left, who can provide goals from there. The biggest question for Aubameyang is whether he can actually provide assists. That's what I want to see from his game. Not so much the goals. I want to see Aubameyang create. I want to see him take on players. I want to see him go past defenders and challenge them a little bit more. But I think the front three pretty much sets itself. The midfield creatively is really where this thing is going to work, because they're the ones that has to understand in that position you're in charge, whether to attack or to backtrack, whether to pressure or whether to sit back in defence. And really, we have no idea. I mean, we've got Burnley this weekend at home. Will he start Ozil? I guess so. I think he will start Ozil. And I think Ceballos can spare him there, but I think I would like to see him drop back alongside Torreira. I think everybody does. Whether he's going to try and shoehorn Xhaka in that position, I have no idea. But I do think that it's time to try something new. I would hate to see Arsenal go back to what didn't work last year, knowing he hasn't got the personnel. And that would really put a downer at the Emirates this weekend, I think. So it's time to see the new boys shine. And also Willock. You know, why not put Willock next to Torreira? Or why not put Willock in at the number 10? He's a crisp, clean passer of the ball. He's got great vision, good touches, and he also is strong on the ball, as Shelby found out last week. Willock will put the foot in if he needs to. He's not afraid of contact. I think for me, guys, where I have to leave this is the improvements defensively. I know everyone's going to talk about the goals that we let in and everything, but as Thierry Henry used to say, a good defense starts from the top. And that is whether the guys cannot leave the back four exposed. It's whether the front three can apply pressure in winning the ball back to help the midfield. It really is down to the midfield. Xhaka last season was like the M1. It was just a highway. Cars were going by him left, right and centre, and attackers were just flooding him, and he couldn't deal with it. He doesn't play well under pressure. And that's something that they're going to have to fix, knowing that he cannot do that job. If you have a team that is passive or not pressuring you as much, then Xhaka doesn't become a liability. But if you're on the back foot, then Xhaka is a terrible player. He just gets exposed. He can't handle players running at him. Remember when he used to get all those red cards when he first came to Arsenal, and Wenger was the one that turned him into a toothless shark by telling him not to go down and slide on players, stand up into tackles. Well, he's making less tackles now and going into less duels as he has ever done in his career. Statistically, he is a softer player, and that's what makes Xhaka so ineffective for Arsenal. So I think that's where it is from me, guys. Those are the improvements that I think that we're going to have to make in order to change this around. Player personnel, having an adapt midfield that will know when to apply pressure, when to press and drop back to defence to protect the back four. Wide men coming in to help the anchor man, having to create Pepe and Aubameyang, having to understand each other's movements and to create chances for each other. I don't think scoring was either a problem, but the main thing has got to come down to Emery trusting his players and getting that formation right, using the personnel that he's got now and experimenting over these first few games to see what works best, because you've got Chelsea and Liverpool coming up and we've got to get ready for those two games. So I'll leave it right there. I'll speak to you later, guys. Love the subscriptions, over 400 now. Like and subscribe, and I appreciate the love. Right back at you. Peace.